Now in the U.S., the White House is warning China may respond to U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's expected visit to Taiwan with military provocations. Spokesman for the U.S. National Security Council in the White House, John Kirby, says this could include firing missiles near Taiwan or large-scale air or naval activities. On Tuesday, China's foreign ministry said it had been in communication with the U.S. regarding the high-ranking visit, expressing hopes Washington could be clear on the gravity and sensitivity of this matter. There is more in this report.
Mrs. Pelosi touched down in Malaysia on Tuesday on her tour of Asia. Taiwanese and U.S. media says she plans to visit Taipei on Tuesday night, but there has been no official confirmation. Taiwan is a self-ruled island, but claimed by China, which sees it as a breakaway province. Beijing has warned of serious consequences if Mrs. Pelosi visits. While the U.S. maintains what is called a robust unofficial relationship with Taiwan, it has formal diplomatic relations with China and not Taiwan. Responding to questions on Tuesday, Taiwan's Premier, Su Tseng, said the island warmly welcomes any foreign guests. The visit has created a diplomatic headache for the White House. President Joe Biden has said the U.S. military believes a Pelosi visit to Taiwan is not a good idea right now. On Monday, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said Mrs. Pelosi has the right to visit Taiwan and make her own decisions, adding that the White House respects the U.S. Congress's independence.
The Speaker has the right to visit Taiwan, and the Speaker of the House has visited Taiwan before without incident, as have many members of Congress, including this year. The world has seen the United States government be very clear that nothing has changed about our One China policy, which is, of course, guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint U.S. PRC communiques, and the 6 assurances.
As House Speaker, Mrs. Pelosi is second in line for the presidency after the Vice President. On Tuesday, China's foreign ministry said it had been in communication with the U.S. regarding the high-ranking visit, expressing hopes Washington could be clear on the gravity and sensitivity of this matter. Speaking earlier in New York, Chinese Ambassador Zhang Chun, whose country is presiding the presidency of the Security Council for the month of August, briefed reporters on the Council's agenda for August.
As we can see, such a visit is apparently very much dangerous, very much provocative. If the U.S. insists on making the visit, China will take firm and strong measures to safeguard our national sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Meanwhile, Taiwan's defense ministry said it had a full grasp of military activities near the island and was determined to defend itself against any Chinese threats. There is strong bipartisan support for Taiwan among the American public and in the United States Congress. And Mrs. Pelosi, a senior figure in the Democratic Party, had long been a vocal critic of the Chinese leadership, denouncing its human rights record. She had previously met pro-democracy dissidents and visited Tiananmen Square to commemorate the victims of the 1989 massacre.
And for more insight on this and other developments and tensions between China and the U.S. over Speaker Pelosi's potential Taiwan trip, global affairs analyst Kelechi Decker joins me via Zoom. Good to have you join us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Let me ask you, because it does seem as though Speaker Nancy Pelosi will visit Taiwan despite warnings from U.S. national security and China's rhetoric. Why do you think this trip is important to her?
Yeah, I think that Taiwan has become a sort of a pawn for both China and the United States. Then when it comes to United States, for Speaker Pelosi, she has started this problem, and I think that she wants to see it to the end. The visit is so important to her. First and foremost, she has been one of the topmost American officials whose anti-China rhetoric has resonated the most over the last 20 years. And secondly, as midterm election is coming up, politicians being politicians, she also need a sort of a rating, a sort of approval rating for her to be able to remain as speaker and maintain her position. So as things stands now, if she backs down, it will be a kind of sign of weakness for her. And if China backs down, it becomes a kind of sign of weakness for China. So she is pushing this thing through. First, to maintain that air of superiority of America. Then secondly, to also push across the message that the American Congress is an independent arm of the American government and does not listen to advice or warning from the White House. And third, she also needs to boost her own political rating. So it's on all fronts. It's so important for her that she pushed ahead with this visit.
You rightly mentioned that China also has a reputation to protect here. China has threatened military involvement, and that announcement has been made, and experts are saying, look, now that China has gone public with a threat of military involvement, it might not want to take that back. But how far do you think that China will go in terms of protecting its reputation?
Yeah, as many people are aware, the Chinese economy and the U.S. economy is so interconnected at the seams that whatever happens to one will cause a lot of disaffection in the other. And both leaders of both countries are quite aware of that. And in their last telephone call, which Biden had with Mr. Xi, that was made obvious. But in as much as all of them are trying to protect their own territorial integrity and also the sovereignty of their nation, China will still show that it has control over the South Chinese Sea, and also is very likely that's going to cross the meridian. And there's also the likelihood that it will send a lot of aircrafts to try and rattle the entire vicinity during the visit. But I'm also sure that China knows that it will try as much as possible to be careful in the war games, because a little mistake can escalate things beyond the level both parties are prepared for. So it's going to be, as it is now, it's just a middle level warning rhetoric. It has not been escalated to a high level warning rhetoric, which should put the entire world on edge. But you know something about middle level warning rhetoric? A little accident, a little stuff might just go wrong. And if something goes wrong, like maybe one aircraft hitting another aircraft, or something just, a spin-off hitting one warship, then the entire world will be in for a very regrettable situation.
Well, we're keeping our eyes on this visit, and we'll see how it benefits the U.S.-Taiwan interest. Thank you so much for talking to us, Global Affairs Analyst Kelechi Deka.
Thank you.